Hello and welcome to Retirement Today. My name is Jenna Cairns, founder and financial advisor at Beacon Wealth Advisory. And we're here to help get you to and through retirement with financial peace of mind. If you'd like to listen to this podcast again or any of our past ones, you can follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. We also have a YouTube channel if you'd like to view this podcast. If you go into the search engine of YouTube and type in Beacon Wealth Advisory, you'll be able to find us and subscribe to our channel. And then every time we do a new show, you'll be notified that a new video is out. So we hope you can get on there and check us out. Now I'm going to bring on my beautiful, fabulous co-host, Jaclyn Gladhill. Always love having you on the show.
Well, thank you, Jenna. It's a pleasure to be here as always, and I'm excited for this one. I mean, what will we be talking about today? Because I saw a little bit of a preview before this episode, before we clicked record, and I'm excited.
Yeah, well, we'll be talking about why retirement planning is a lot like climbing Mount Everest and just how important it is to have a retirement income plan. And this is an analogy that a lot of people around the industry use just to help people visualize retirement. But I love it. I think it'll be fun to go through.
Yeah. So, for our listeners that are listening to this and not viewing it, I highly recommend going to YouTube, so you can watch our video because we have a nice, visual up here for our viewers to follow along with us. So, Jenna, I am, truly really excited about this Mount Everest analogy and the idea that retirement is like climbing Mount Everest. It's kind of like a storytelling book, right?
Yeah,
So
it
can you
is.
kind of break this down for our listeners? And I will kind of bring up, the picture here. And so I'll just let you kind of take it away.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to. Well, many people think of retirement like climbing Mount Everest. It's as if the goal is to work really, really hard, sacrifice a lot along the way, build up enough savings, and really get to the top of that retirement peak. And we refer to that left side of the mountain there as really the accumulation stage of retirement, where you're really building up the amount of assets you want to get to live that life you dream of having. And a lot of people have that magic number that they want to hit when they get to the very top of that mountain. And once you reach the summit or the top of the mountain, the view is so beautiful. And that sense of accomplishment is like none other at the peak. And it is so peaceful, but also a little daunting. Now, the problem is that you have to get down that mountain. We refer to going down the mountain as the de-accumulation phase of retirement, where you're now distributing your savings into income streams. But here's the thing, more people run into danger on the way down Mount Everest than on the climb up. In fact, Jaclyn, in 2019, more people died going down Mount Everest than climbing up.
Hmm.
Why? The descent is harder and riskier coming down. There are often plans made to get up that mountain in the accumulation phase, but many times the problem is there's no plan going down the mountain in the de-accumulation phase of retirement. So my job as a financial advisor and my team's job is, because we specialize in income planning, is to not only get you up that mountain, accumulating money for retirement, but also getting you through retirement during that de-accumulation phase where it's so tricky and sometimes scary for people, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Jenna. So, I mean, just so I have this straight here, the decumulation phase is the descent, right? So,
Yes.
you're taking money out of your savings and turning it into the income with retirement, right?
Yes, exactly. Accumulating money and saving for retirement again is climbing up, but turning that big pile of savings into a sustainable, predictable income stream for, let's say, 20 or 30 years during retirement is the descent. And like I said, a lot of people plan for climbing up the mountain, but many times there's absolutely no plan for climbing down. If you don't plan for the descent, that's where things can really go wrong. And you definitely need a guide.
Yeah, absolutely. And I truly love this analogy because, it really kind of drives home the idea that retirement isn't a finish line. It's an ongoing, battle, and it's the beginning of kind of the next challenge, right? And so there's certain steps to it, and there's, precautions that you should take in each step. So I really like this.
Thank
But
you.
let's kind of bring this back into maybe some practical terms. So
Yeah.
Jenna, why is a retirement income plan so critical?
Well, Jaclyn, I think you and I have talked about just how important it is to get things on paper for us. I
Mhm.
think that whenever people feel anxious, at least for me, when I feel anxious about something, there is just something so comforting about having things written down. It's why
Mhm.
people journal. It's why, people just like to have paper in front of them, right? With goals and with their future endeavors. And so a retirement income plan is just that. It's putting everything on paper, and it's really going to answer those questions that keep people up at night. How
Mhm.
much income do I need to have every month? Where will that income come from? And how long will it last? Will I outlive my money in retirement? I mean, that literally keeps people up at night sometimes. So just having that plan is critical. And many people save without considering really how they're going to spend the money. So without a plan, retirees risk running out of money too soon, withdrawing too much quickly, or relying too heavily on investments that can really fluctuate with the market and go up and down, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a big misconception is, I'll live on less in retirement
Yeah.
and I'll be just fine. But many people actually spend more early on, right, Jenna? Because I
Yes,
mean,
and oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I just think like my guess to this is probably they've got a lot more time on their hands. So they're probably
Yes.
spending a lot more because of their time.
Yeah, it's like every day is a Saturday, right, Jaclyn? And what do we
Yes.
do on Saturdays? We go to the mall, we go shopping,
Mhm.
we go out to eat, we have fun with our friends. And so are you really going to spend less in retirement if every day is a Saturday, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly, exactly. Well,
So,
I love that. So let's kind of talk through, the strong income plan for retirement. So let's, the through the pieces of kind of a good plan set in place. So what are the building blocks that we start with, Jenna?
yeah, well, the first one, the foundation, is really a retirement income plan that has, your guaranteed income sources. The more stable sources of income is really where we like to get started. Things like Social Security, pensions, and annuities. That's really like your baseline income. It's really money you can rely on regardless of market conditions. The second, I'll call it bucket of money, are the investment withdrawals. So your portfolio, like your 401k, IRA, brokerage, it becomes a paycheck generator as well, but it needs to have a strategy and not just random withdrawals.
Mhm.
The tax efficiency is also very important, and people overlook this. And it's a huge piece of the overall income plan. Jaclyn, which accounts do you draw from first? And how does that affect
Mhm.
how long your money will last? And, if you take out too much, will it bump you into the next tax bracket? Will it make your Medicare premium go higher with IRMA? Those are all things that need to be thought of with a solid income plan. And then there's that thing called inflation and longevity planning. We all know inflation is a real thing. When we go to the grocery store, we need to make sure that our investments are growing to keep pace with rising costs. But we also really need to make sure that there's protection so you don't outlive it. And Jaclyn, I had a workshop this week. I don't know if I told you that or not, but um, it was a packed house. And I asked the question to the audience. I said, how many of you have people living into the 90s or even hundreds now?
Mhm.
And I used to ask that question years ago, and it seemed like maybe half the room. I mean, everybody but one person raised their hand this week. Isn't that crazy? So I
Wow.
really do think, people are living so much longer now.
Yes.
So that longevity planning, you have to take into consideration. So when we're building our income plans, Jaclyn, we don't run it out to 80, unless the client requests that. We really do run those income plans out into the 90s so that
Mhm.
people can see, like, if I do live a really long time, like grandma or grandpa or somebody in my family, what does my income plan actually look like? Like, am I going to run out of money with inflation and taxes and what I have? Or does it look like, I would be protected against that risk? And then the last thing is contingency planning, unexpected healthcare expenses, long-term care needs, or market downturns. These are all of the things that come into play with a really good income plan.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And I truly love that breakdown because, retirement isn't just one bucket, right? It's
Yeah.
multiple layers. And we've also gone through the house analogy that you've shared with us as well.
Yeah.
And so, it's different levels working together at building a house, right? We got the foundation and the walls
Yes.
and the roof. And so
Yes.
there's just so many things and parts and moving pieces. So
Yes.
Jenna, now let's kind of talk about the mistakes. I know it's not something fun we like to talk about, but it's, kind of the flip side of things. And so the pitfalls on kind of the descent down Everest.
Yeah, well, there are several that I see all the time, and that's why, again, you need a good guide. The first one
Mhm.
is not having a withdrawal strategy. This is the biggest one. People just kind of wing it sometimes. They take out what they need without considering market conditions, sequence of returns risk, or tax impact. A lot of our clients, if the market's really high, we might take more income out of the stocks. If the
Mhm.
market's really low and it's gone down, we may shift and start taking more of their income out of things like their annuities, or we might start Social Security or something that is in one of those safer buckets. The second thing is relying too much on that 4% rule. That rule was created like decades ago. It's really kind of old school,
Mhm.
and we're in very different market conditions now. I mean, it's a starting point, but you don't have to follow that. It's not a plan, right?
Yeah.
And then claiming Social Security at the wrong time. I always tell people this, but Social Security is a guaranteed lifetime income that is not fully taxable with a cost of living adjustment. So, why wouldn't you want to maximize that to get as much income coming in as possible? And the fourth thing is assuming spending will drop. Like we talked about, every day is a Saturday in retirement. Are you really
Mhm.
going to not spend any money on a Saturday, right?
Yes.
So often, especially in those early years of retirement, I think it increases, depending on the
Mhm.
person's lifestyle, travel, home projects, hobbies. Then healthcare costs rise later in life. And then the fifth one is just not coordinating with a spouse's plan. Retirement really is a team sport in marriage.
Mhm.
And so income, benefits, risk tolerance, they all really need to be in alignment, right? Because you've heard that saying before, right, Jaclyn? If
Mhm.
mama isn't happy, nobody's happy, right?
I've heard the happy wife, happy life, but same kind
Hello.
of thing.
I know. How do you enjoy retirement if your spouse isn't in alignment with you, right? And enjoying it
Yes.
at the same time.
Yes.
So these are all the things that people have really made mistakes on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you. I think a lot of people underestimate longevity, like you said, that's a big one.
Yeah.
And you think that you'll live until 82, but many live well into their 90s and it's exciting. That's an exciting time for all of us to be living in and planning to age 90 or 95. It just isn't it's not pessimistic. It's realistic at this point with our modern medicine and so many things happening that will make us, live longer and have happier lives, I feel. So,
Yeah.
okay, so Jenna, now, I mean, someone who's listening or viewing our episode right now might be thinking, this sounds important, but it starts to be overwhelming. So, how do they start? Where do they start?
Well, the first thing is to get a guide, get a financial advisor that specializes in income planning. And
Mhm.
step one, which we obviously do specialize in income planning, is determine your spending needs. One of the questions that I ask people, Jaclyn, in our first meeting is, what does retirement life look like to you? Because what we're trying to do is gauge, is this person going to want to minimal lifestyle in retirement, modest, or are we talking about like a luxurious lifestyle?
Mm-hmm.
And so after we get spouses together, we usually have them fill out a retirement budget if they have not done one already, to really get on the same page as far as, what are we going to be spending in retirement and what is our lifestyle going to look like if they haven't already connected on that. And we really need to know, step one, just what you are going to need every month coming in to cover your lifestyle each month. So if you need $5,000 a month, we just back into it from there, right? So step two is, after we know your monthly income need, then we just calculate, okay, well, out of that 5,000, where is that going to get covered? Oh, we got 3,000 coming in from Social Security together. We've got, 2,000 coming in a pension. We're short a little bit, right? And so we just figure out, if there is an income gap in there, and actually that example wasn't exactly right. Let's just say you had 3,000 in Social Security, 1,000 in a pension. You would be short about $1,000 per month. And so that's where you'd either have to work part-time, start taking out of your investment incomes or rental income to fill that income gap. And so that's where step three is building a withdrawal strategy. Which account are we going to tap first if we need an extra $1,000 a month coming in after we have Social Security and our pension? Do we go and take it from our traditional IRA, our Roth IRA, our non-taxable brokerage account, or not after-tax brokerage account? We just have to figure that out from a tax planning standpoint and take into consideration, Medicare, IRMA, things like that, to build a withdrawal strategy. And then guess what step 4 is, Jaclyn?
I have no idea, Jenna. You tell me.
Stress test the plan. So when we run a income analysis for people, we run scenarios like, what would it look like if there was a big market downturn early in retirement, inflation goes up, or you live a really long life? A good advisor will model these different scenarios for you if those are concerns of yours. And like I said, we have a very sophisticated software program that we utilize to create a detailed Compass retirement income plan with our clients. And the reason we do that, again, is to relieve that anxiety that we talked about earlier, Jaclyn, with just having everything written down in front of us. It's a very detailed report that gives people financial peace of mind to show them, with their different income sources like Social Security, pensions, and investments, with taxes and inflation, what are they on track to look like? Can they live that luxurious lifestyle that they want to, or that modest lifestyle that they want to? And it also can answer questions for people like, will I have enough to live on for the rest of my life? Can I retire at 65 when I want to, or whatever age that is? And it also, we can play with that software to figure out really when the best time would be to take Social Security as well. So stress testing the plan is a big one.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great idea that you can build such a detailed retirement plan for, all your clients, Jenna, for more peace of mind and confidence, planning for retirement. This is a stressful time, but giving that confidence and that peace of mind can go a long way. So,
Yes.
Jenna, what would be the best number for people to reach out to schedule a complimentary consultation with you and your team, to help build a retirement income plan, or to just get a second opinion on their current income plan?
Yeah, we'd love to help people with that retirement income plan. They can reach us at 1-800-994-8993. Again, that's 1-800-994-8993.
Well, perfect. So, Jenna, let's kind of give a chance to brag about your industry. Why would working with a financial advisor be so helpful?
Well, there's a lot of reasons, but one of the biggest reasons, which we're talking about today, is because retirement income planning is complex. It's really a lot of moving pieces, markets, taxes, inflation, healthcare, longevity, income sources. And so to try to do that on your own is really tough. A financial advisor uses tools and modeling software to make sure that the plan is sustainable and really provides that clarity for clients to see, again, what kind of lifestyle are we on track to look like.
Mhm.
So it's important to have a guide going up and down the mountain.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's great. And again, I just want to, reiterate to our viewers and listeners that if you need to schedule a no cost, no obligation meeting with Jenna and her team, give her a call. 1-800-994-8993.
Thank you, Jaclyn. Yeah, people really do feel more confident when they know their plan has also been tested under multiple scenarios. I mean, you'd be
Mhm.
surprised, Jaclyn, how big of a difference my income plans look when I use 2% as an assumption for inflation versus 4%. I mean, it's
Mhm.
a huge difference when we run those plans, what it looks like. And some people like to know, like, hey, if inflation really spikes, like, would I be on track to outlive my money? Or so we like to run those different scenarios because anybody can make it look good if you use a 10% return or 1% for inflation, but you've got to be realistic and I think run it sometimes different ways. If somebody really has a concern about inflation, why not run the plan with a 2% inflation rate and also a 4 or 5% inflation rate just so they can see both scenarios and what they look like, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jenna, before we kind of wrap up, I do want to bring back our visual here for our viewers and listeners.
Yeah,
The Mount Everest analogy, and it's fantastic. But
thank
Jenna,
you.
what kind of final lesson should listeners take from it, or like the biggest takeaway?
Yeah. Well, again, it's so much sacrifice and so much work getting up that mountain, accumulating to reach retirement. Reaching retirement, though, isn't the victory. Staying financially secure, going both up the mountain and down the mountain. So,
Mhm.
uh, you know, to and through retirement is important. You want to be secure on both sides of that mountain. And I truly believe you need a guide, a plan, and a strategy, not only for the way up, but also the way down, which again is where the real risks are and where you can just enjoy the view, enjoy the journey.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely, and look back and say, "I accomplished that. I did that," you know?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
absolutely, and Jenna, I love the analogies that we've brought in. I This one might be my favorite, but the house is also hard to beat. So Jenna, you do an amazing job guiding people to get to get them through retirement.
Oh, thank you. Well, I also have some very good teachers that have shared those analogies with me and very grateful to pass that on. But yeah, I'm always happy to help people think differently about retirement. And so again, we would love to help get people to and through retirement with that financial peace of mind.
Well, I love it. All right. Well, if our listeners and viewers, if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone who needs to hear it or maybe could use some advice. If you view this show or our past shows out on YouTube by typing in Beacon Wealth Advisory in the search engine and subscribe to our page to be notified every time that there's a new video out. So, listeners and viewers, thank you for joining us today, and we will see you next time on Retirement Today with our host, Jenna Cairns.